How's it going, guys? It's Anfield here. Welcome to Q&A Part 2, the series where I answer the questions that were left on a video where I requested those questions. So basically, if you didn't get your question answered in the first video, you may get it answered in this one, but you also may just get it answered in another one. I still have a couple more of these to make to cover most of your guys' questions that were left on the first day. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and again, don't worry if I don't get to your question because it'll probably be coming in a future video. So there's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce his name because obviously I cannot read the language. However, the question is it possible to make some beginner video and some skills or key points in the game? So basically I did try to toy with the idea of making a beginner basics video, but I found that every time I thought of something, I was like, oh, I need to expand on this, and it was just really difficult to keep it short and not hours and hours and hours long. So yes, I will be trying to make some of these things, but I'm going to try and take little chunks at it rather than just a giant video, I guess. And so maybe I'll take a video and I'll talk about camouflage and spotting and armor angling and things like that, and hopefully that'll be coming in the future. And it won't be such a big chore to make a massive beginner guide video. So Future Trunks wants to know what I think about the Cypress Meetup, the meetup a few weeks ago where Jingles, Rita, Quickie Baby, and some other dude got to go to Cypress to meet up with Victor Kisley and some other wargaming guys. He wants to know whether basically those suggestions were actually going to make it into the game, and do they actually care about what the community thinks, or was it all just talk? So basically, it wasn't just talk in a sense, and it definitely was to show that they care about the community. That whole thing is PR, so I've been told by the wargaming. Let's make it clear, Slava had some very good ideas, and Slava is wargaming. So the things that Slava was saying, which, let's be fair, were really great positive things as far as I'm concerned at least. I think he had some great ideas, and it's really refreshing to see someone that was so aware of what needed to happen. Those things I think will make it in the game. As for what Jingles, Quickie Baby, and Rita may have talked about, or I guess to be fair, mostly Quickie Baby talked about, yeah, I don't think, I don't think what they would have said would have made a huge impact, but maybe a little bit. But yeah, mostly it was just more PR than anything else. But at least Slava showed that things could be really positive around wargaming. Attila asks, it's important, AMX 30B or Batchat? Well, I mean, it's one of those things where you go up to 1390, you can get both anyway. So, both. As for which one, I mean, the Batchat's the better tank, the more versatile tank, can do more things. So, yeah, Batchat, I guess, first, at least. Go back and get the 30B. It's basically another Leopard 1, although, fanboys of the Leopard 1 might not like to hear it, but it's probably a little bit better, mostly because it's a little bit smaller and you don't have to worry so much about the tank getting ammo racked or other things like that, like the Leopard 1 does. Also, I think the 30B's gun behaves better. That may not be true, though. I'm not sure on that one. So I'm going to try not to spend too much time on this, because Alpha Q is basically asking a very similar question as Future Trunks, but he wants to know what I thought of the Cypress meetings again, and he says more specifically that he thinks time was wasted on useless things like alpha damage, DPM, while avoiding the real cancer in WoT, which is artillery. So yeah, he thinks too much time was wasted. Well, I don't think alpha damage is a waste of time to talk about. I think super high alpha damage in the game is never a positive thing. I think it provides as much of a problem with camping as artillery does. So I don't think that was a waste of time. I certainly don't think that. It is something that needs to be addressed. TDs have become very powerful in a lot of maps, shutting them down, and that's part of the map issues as well as it is game balance. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know why a tank like the 183 exists, but even tanks that aren't HESH based, like the JP100, I mean, no one wants to round a corner when there's a JP100 there, so I think high alpha is bad, and I hope that does get adjusted. As for artillery, we already know things are being changed there, so I don't know that it needs to be talked about too much, but at least, Wargaming are obviously trying to change it, so. Lunity wants to know Batchat 25T versus E50M versus 30B versus Object 430. Which one to get first? First tier 10 for him. For solo pubs, he has the Lorraine, he likes it. He has the Panther 2, and he loves that a lot. And the Object 416, although he doesn't like the 416. Really interesting question. Odd choices. Of those four initially, I would say E50M is the most fun, and I think probably the easiest to play, or less punishing to play. Then after that, the Batchat. But since you have the 416, I know you don't like the 416. I find it interesting that you're going for the 430 and not the other two Russian mediums. I would certainly go 416 T54 and then get the 62A and 140, which are obviously amazing tanks. So weird choices, but of those four, I would initially go for the E50M. But if you were going to change courses, use the 416 to get to the 62A and the 140. That's what I would do. Black Axe 99 asks, what do you think of Jingles, Quickie Baby, or Circumflexes? Also, some other comments on here. Montenegro wants to know about Sir Fosh, and he says, I already know what he thinks of Quickie Baby, which I'm going to go on a limb and say you probably don't. And Donnie Dolan says, don't forget Des Games and Oak EU. Okay, so yes, this comes up in a lot of confusion, right? I like my banter, so this gets a little bit mixed up. Jingles, no problem with Jingles. A long time ago, wasn't a huge fan. Now I appreciate the direction he's chosen to go, and you know, that sort of thing. And I think his channel is great. As for Quickie Baby, no problem with Quickie Baby. The guy's a pretty good player. He, does a good service for the community, especially the newer players and those mid-table tier kind of players. Pretty much a really good source for learning and things like that. Circumflexes, don't watch Circon stream. Really sorry, Circon. I've just never really gotten around to it. I'm sure you've never seen my stream, so or ever watched this video, so I probably won't care. But I obviously, with all the World of Tanks content I do and things like streaming and YouTube, don't have a ton of time to watch a ton of people. And I do like to set aside time to watch new streams, see if there's any newer upcoming streams that I used to, that I can host. I mean, once upon a time, Orzinal was a little tiny stream. Sir Fosh, don't know much about him. Something about Salt. People keep saying he hates gold rounds or something. That's about the only information I have about him. So Des Games, newly discovered Des Games, and I actually platooned with him, indirectly sort of, when I was on Mr. Crow's stream, although he wasn't on TS or anything like that, and it was only for a little while, and I was absolutely exhausted, so I didn't play that long. But yeah, Oak, I don't know who that is, and I apologize to friend Oak, because I just haven't looked you up before. Sorry. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Some of you may think I hate Quickie Baby, and no, I do not. Some of his fans are interesting, but I have absolutely no problem with Quickie Baby himself. Zach McLuth asks, what is your opinion of armored warfare artillery? Do you think World of Tanks should implement some of their ideas? I definitely think the competition is good for things. I certainly like the idea that, Wargaming will have to up their game in a lot of respects. That being said, I haven't watched a ton of armored warfare artillery play, so I don't really know. I've watched a little bit of tank play. I was kind of excited by the prospect of new tanks, but once I really watched the game and things like that, as for, what I've heard, I've heard that armored warfare artillery is worse for different reasons, so I don't really know. I think it's kind of disappointing that armored warfare saw World of Tanks and saw what a problem artillery was, and rather than just not implement it, they added it but tried to change it, and I just don't think it's worked very well for them. Anton wants to know if I can do map guides for all the maps in both sides, and for all different types of tanks, and also if you're top tier or cannon fodder. So he basically says he's not always sure what to do if he gets bad matchmaker and he's on the bottom and things like that. Okay, well, that would take a very long time to cover every single map, and I tried to do it in a more efficient manner with my positional algorithm series, where I just basically taught you how to do it. That being said, I could try. I certainly need to update the positional algorithm series, or at least cover the topic and sort of, you know, elaborate on a lot of points and, you know, try and point some things out and give some tips, I guess. So, yeah, but not for every map, basically, is the answer. I'll try and just update the positional algorithm series videos. T-Braze is asking me how do you play Pilsen on a medium tank like a Cromwell. He always comes close to 3 marking it and then gets a stupid map like Pilsen and goes down. Well, obviously, you know, that's the scourge of any 3 mark session. The game seems to know exactly when you're there, and it gives you the worst possible maps, the worst possible RNG, tons of already, tons of, you know, things that can mess up your game. It just feels that way. As for Pilsen, obviously it's not a very popular map at the moment. Mediums do quite well in the 0 line, but again, like anything, you can never go to a position if you don't have support, and oftentimes I feel with Pilsen, I seem to get matches where one team has a ton of mediums, and the other team has a ton of heavies and TDs. It's very odd. The other thing I will say too is if you're the team with a ton of mediums, I find that even if you win the 0 line and things like that, it's very difficult to win. Feels like the team that controls the 1-2 line with all the factories, with the heavy tank positions and things like that, that's the team that generally comes out on top, even if a medium team swarms them. And I think it's just perhaps the positions are far too easy to defend, or the mediums become too suicidal. I'm not really sure. Either way, you can only do the best that you can, so the 0 line is good. Other than that, I would just be patient. Obviously, there's not a lot of ways you can get around other than the 0 line, so just be real patient. Take a shot if you can, but usually you can do really well on a map after everything's been softened up, and if you have a decent amount of hit points, you can come around with your speed and DPM and really give some people some issues. So yeah, you know, and just try and be more passive, I guess, if you can't use the 0 line. And hopefully it'll work for you. So good luck on your 3rd mark. I hope you're successful in that. Mr. America asks War Thunder, and he elaborates as in, will you do videos or playthroughs? I'm not really interested in War Thunder. It's a slow, dull simulator type game that I'm not really into. I just, yeah, it just, you know, I don't play. If I wanted to play a simulator, I'd play a simulator, and I'm not really that interested in playing War Thunder because it's just, the ground forces was just a terrible, just as bad as World of Warplanes. Yeah, it's not a great game, so I'm not really interested. I apologize for those of you that may be War Thunder fans as well. Just not something I'm into. The same really goes for Armored Warfare. You know, although Armored Warfare would be at least arcadey and a little bit better and more enjoyable to play, but I've watched gameplay and it's just a bad copy, so I'm not really interested in that either. Sullivan wants to basically, in a nutshell, know, in regards to Tier 6 Strongholds, what is the best sort of setup, what tanks should be used. I have to say that I'm really not the best person to ask. Not only do I basically not do Strongholds, I certainly don't play Tier 6 Strongholds or Tier 6s in general, so I'm not really that savvy when it comes to how strong some of these tanks are. Hopefully someone in the comments section will be able to reply to you and give you a better idea, because I certainly can't, and I don't want to give you advice that is kind of guesswork in case I'm wrong. So, but best of luck in your Strongholds, and I hope you guys are successful. So Marion says, hey Anfield, a schedule for the stream. I know it's been a bit hectic, but now we're getting, you know, latter half of January, well, basically February now. I will be able to get a routine schedule. I've sort of been working on it a little bit, trying to feel when the best time for me to play, when I feel most up for it and things like that. So I think most streams, we'll try to stream every day. That's not going to happen. There'll be days where I don't stream for various different reasons. But I'm going to try most days at least. And as for the time, UK time, or let's just do Central European time, so like Germany and things like that, it's probably about 6 or 7 p.m. start, Central European time. So, you know, those of you on the East Coast, for Central European time, just subtract 6 hours. As for other streams, there will be different streams, like random streams that will be later than that and other times. So just basically look out for them. But most of them will generally be starting around that time. And then maybe I'll do some streams that are later if I'm like platooning with my North American subs or something like that. Joven asks, what is my FOV in this battle? I assumed that was the battle that I left the Q&A video on. Well, my FOV doesn't change, so it's basically on the maximum setting, which I think is like 120. I'll show a screenshot so you can see. So, yes. Deviate wants to know what I think about the armored warfare and World of Tanks differences in penetration indication. So when you hover over a tank, whether, how it tells you whether you're going to pen, says what shows you whether you would pen if there was no angle on the armor, whereas armored warfare basically gives you a guaranteed indication whether or not you're going to pen because it includes the angling. He says this detracts a lot from the skill of aiming. Do I agree? I think there is a certain skill in knowing how armor thickness works, knowing what angles defeat certain things, how to get through some of the thickest armor just because you're on a, higher terrain or something like that. So I guess my answer is, I haven't really given it much thought, but I guess the way World of Tanks does it is perfectly fine, so I don't really see a reason to change something that's not really broken. So Bad Voodoo asks a question that basically is good that I left it till this video because of recent events. He wants to know what I think about the missions for the FE 4202. Is it worth researching and grinding through the Cent just to get it? To answer the second half of the question, the Centurion Action X or Action 10 is an amazing tank. So we definitely want to get that tank anyway. As for the premium tank, I have no idea whether that's going to be good or not, because I have it, but I haven't played it. Now, NA got the tank for free if you had the Centurion, whereas EU, you're still going to have to do the missions. I'm not sure which server you're on, but either way, I don't remember what the exact details of the missions are, but they're not going to be hard. So, I mean, it's a free premium, even if you're going to get it and then sell it, which I might do, yeah, you might as well do it. Bloop says, what do I use to edit videos? Also, when will more trolling videos be a thing? And he loves me. I love you too, man. I use Sony Vegas to edit. It's a real easy program to navigate. If I were to be a more advanced editor, I would probably go with more Adobe programs like After Effects. But Sony Vegas does a good job. As for the trolling videos, yes, I will make more humorous videos in the future. As well as obviously the general educational content. I do like a bit of both, and so yeah, you can definitely look forward to some more of those. So Don wants to know if I care what kind of variation of my name that you use, whether you just call me my name Anfield, or if you want to call me Anfields, which is obviously the most common, or Anheels, or whatever. No, I don't mind. I'm always up for a bit of a laugh, so if you come up with a funny one, let me know. But yeah, no, I don't care. Okay guys, I'm going to have to basically call it there for this video because we're over 17 minutes worth of question answering, so I still have a couple more videos to go. But thank you so much again for your questions, guys. Again, if you didn't get to your question yet, it will be coming. Just, give me a bit of time. It takes a little while to put these together and then edit them as well, so you can look forward to quite a few more of these coming up shortly.